Hello there, Michelle G here, Bendy Stitchy. Today is Saturday, March 23rd. My pronouns are she, her, and this is my first intentional planned ahead of time, not because of events, but because I chose it, Fortnight spaced Flosstube. Because of that, I will tell you, consulting my Notion on the other screen, I stitched 14 stitching days since the last time I saw you, which is really good. I feel like there were only 15 days since I saw you last, which is 14 stitching days is good. 14 stitching days. Part of that is because I started a strand a day project, which I'll show you, for a total of 7,421 stitches. But also think about this. 32 hours and 39 minutes of stitching in the last 14 days. It's like a part-time job. I mean, I know people that work less than that at their real job. So I stitch a lot. I mean, take a peep at my camera here, or at my Notion. So this is my Notion app. This is my March calendar. February is in the first week. But you can see in the last 2 weeks, so I last filmed on the 8th, and you can see I only missed 2 stitching days. But look at these days. Like this day, I stitched on 4 projects. Yesterday, 4 projects. Today, already 1 project. Like, and then you can see every day this is kind of a peek at what's to come. About here, I started, look, abra, 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 abra. Strand a day. It's coming. Strand a day. Okay. All right. So let's just jump in. I have a finish and a finish for now. So I'll do the finish for now first because it's on top. That's the only reason why. My stitching monopoly, which you're going to hear a lot about this week. 3 turns ago, I'm losing track because I rolled I've already rolled 2 sets of doubles this weekend. But 2 or 3 turns ago for Stitching Monopoly, I pulled Stitch for Pride 2025. And I hadn't actually started it yet, but I had it listed as a whip because I knew I would start it. So I started and finished January, Stitch for Pride 2025. This is by D's 20 Stitches. This right here is Elagabalus. She was a Roman emperor and kind of it wasn't very common for a woman to be a Roman emperor, right? So Elagabalus is a trans icon in that way. I did not get either the fabric or the floss this year. And last year I did Stitch for Pride as a spot sampler, and it's a whole big finish. So I'm not going to pull it up. I was going to pull it up, but I did all 12 motifs on the same piece last year, and I'll frame it all together. This year I'm doing them all individually, and I'm going to finish them into a journal. That's the plan. So I didn't get the fabric and I didn't get the floss, but this, I'm trying to approximate the floss as close as I can. And this one was pretty dang good. This is Almond M&M's Clouds, and this is still available on Ymir's website. So I stitched this with Almond M&M's Clouds, and the fabric is, it might be Fox and Rabbit Wolf Spider. It's one of their fabrics of the month. I know that because I have half a piece. I have a half piece here. I actually don't have any idea what this fabric is, other than I have about a fat eighth of it, and I'm going to fit the next 4 onto it. So my plan now is to do 4 stitches on 3 different fabrics. We'll see how that works out. I don't really know how it's going to work out. But so far, so good. This is January. I just have February and March. By the time I get around to this again, it'll probably be April, but I'm not as interested this year in keeping up month to month. I'm saving all of the patterns that D sends. So when he sends a pattern, I save it in my D's 20 Stitches PDF file, and I can come back to them anytime. What I'm trying to teach myself this year is that patterns don't go bad. So I don't have to push myself so hard. I can stitch more for enjoyment than like panic. So anyway, do you want the stats on it? Maybe. I started this on March 6th and I finished it on March 8th. This part right here is a total of about 1,250 stitches. 1,254, but I also this is not right. So it is what it is. But that was finish. I'm calling this finish 8.1 because I'm counting the whole thing as a whip. So it won't be a full finish until we get all the way to the end of the year and all 12 of them are done. It's the only way to keep it on my whip list and not have it be like a big pain in my butt to keep putting it in over and over again. Just like it's a pain in my butt right now to scroll all the way to the top of my Flosstube planner. Okay, so that was my first finish. Finish for now, for the week. For the fortnight. My second finish for now is a big one for me. This is Moonlight by Filigram. This is a bad picture, and I'm not taking it out of the plastic, so take that. I did this with the called for floss, but not the called for fabric because I had this beautiful piece of Saltmarsh Green from R&R, and this actually fits. This is a big piece. This actually fits on a quarter of this. So I am going to now completely pass the stash on this. My friend Heather, they have been patiently waiting. I started this November 16th, 2020. 2020, y'all. My friend Heather has been patiently waiting for this to be passed to them since then. I just finished it yesterday. So this is 40 count R&R Reproductions Saltmarsh Green with all the called for gentle arts. And this is Moonlight by Filigram. The only intentional change that I made, some of these swirlies aren't counted right, it's whatever. The only intentional change that I made is I stitched the hill in half crosses. So Wade tells me not to hold it up like this, but I'm going to hold it up so you can see because this part's important. So this hill is charted to be all stitched in full crosses, just like everything else. But I did one row of crosses leaning one way, one row of crosses leaning the other way. And it gives that cool kind of herringbone effect. And I stitched that hill twice as fast as I should have. Because half stitches, right? Half stitches equals twice as fast. And I love it. And I'm obsessed with it and I can't wait. I want to frame it. It looks so good. I want to hang it up on my walls. It's a little thing. It's pretty small. Like size of my head. Almost exactly the size of my head, actually. Really, really loved stitching on this. Let me give you the stats. Not everyone likes stats, but I like stats. So I didn't track every day of stitching on this. There was one day of stitching that I spent that I got like this much done that wasn't tracked. The rest of it was tracked in Notion. So total time on this was somewhere around 19 hours. And that is 10, that's 10 or 11 stitching days. That's 11 stitching days. 1 day in 2023, 1 day in 2020 when I started it, and 9 days in 2025. So granted, I'm like, I could have finished this in 2 weeks. One of the days I stitched on this, I put in 1,131 stitches. Like, I didn't get off the couch. That was a couch day. But yeah, all the called for flosses, and just happy to be here. So, Heather, it's coming to you. Finally. It's going to them. Okay, so now we're on to the whips. So works in progress, and most of these are due to two things. You know I love a challenge. So most of these are due to either Pick-a-Whip or Monopoly. So let's start with Pick-a-Whip. Incidentally, Moonlight was my Pick-a-Whip project for March, and it was a friend pick. So I just asked in the comment section of my last Flosstube video, what should I pick? And enough people said Moonlight that I was like, done. And I finished it. The other Pick-a-Whip prompt is, excuse me, stitch on a project on dark fabric. If you don't know Pick-a-Whip, let me back it up. Pick-a-Whip is the brainchild of Marjorie Made Stitches on Instagram. And what Marjorie does, this is so much fun, is every month, she chooses 2 prompts for us, and she used to post them every fortnight, but this year she's posting both prompts at the beginning of the month. Go for it. So, this month was a friend pick, which was Moonlight, and dark fabric or floss, which for me is Zodiac Sal by Tiny Modernist. And this is Marjorie, and she's lovely. So, if you don't watch her, I know you watch her. I'm not even going to say if you don't watch her, go watch her, because I know you watch her. So this is Tiny Modernist Zodiac Sal. And this, again, is an inherited whip for me. A stitcher who frequented Acorns and Threads in Portland passed away, and her family gave all of her stash to Janine at Acorns to rehome. So when I got this piece, the border, so this is a 13-part sampler from Tiny Modernist. It was released monthly, and now it's available as a complete. So these little cards that I have are the ones that came out monthly, because that's what this stitcher had. This is now available on Cheryl's website as like one whole piece. Don't be scared of this. It is 262 by 303 altogether. But each of these circles I think is like 60 by 60. So anyway, when I inherited this whip, it had all of the border, but none of the doodads in the border. And then it had Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, and most of Taurus stitched. So what I decided I was going to do is each month I would stitch, each season I would stitch the zodiac sign. So I started stitching this last year during Capricorn season, and I finished the Capricorn and all the doodads in the border. And then when I got up to Aquarius and Pisces season, and now we're in Aries season, these are all stitched. So I did the doodads, and then in Pisces season, I did the sun. That's what this pattern is, the 13th. It's the sun and the moon. So let me show you. This is big. This is my largest whip, both in stitch count and in sheer size, in sheer geography. This is on 25 count even weave, and it's 2/2, 25 count even weave. So this is a lap quilt size. So you can see Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, all done. Taurus, partially done. Down there, Capricorn. And you see what I mean? Like, see that corner has all the doodads stitched in, the stars, and the corner around Taurus does not. That's what I mean by doodads. So this month I got a little behind and I didn't stitch on it really during Aquarius season, but I picked it up for Pisces season. That's right. So during Pisces season, I stitched the doodads around Aquarius and around Pisces and the sun. So in Aries season, all I really have to do is, where am I? This is really hard to hold. All I really have to do in Aries season is this little section right here of doodads. So the sun is done, and then in Taurus season, I'll stitch the corners worth of doodads and I'll finish Taurus. And then we start to get into the real work in that middle row. But that's okay, because in the middle row, the two in the middle, they don't have any extra work with them. So it's all good. I love this piece. I might work ahead on this piece if I get inspired. If I do get inspired and work ahead, I'll go down to Sagittarius and work my way back through the zodiac, so I can still finish in whatever season it is. Do you know what I mean? So like, if I want to do more in Aries season, I'll stitch the doodads up by Aries, and then I'll come down here and also stitch Sagittarius or the moon, right? And then if I still want to do more, I'll stitch Scorpio here, and then I'll work my way back so that I finish in the season of the thing. But I love that so much, and then I can't wait. That's also can I just say that when I first started holding things like this, I remember people were like, oh, that's a great way to hold things. And they started holding things like that. So now I want to see your big whip draped over your head like you're a ghost. Like you're going to haunt my craft room. And you can feel free to haunt my craft room. I'll be fine with that. So this will go back in the whip drawer until either it gets called for Pick-a-Whip or Monopoly again, or until I get it out to stitch on Aries season. Part of me is like, Michelle, it's Aries season, just stitch on it today. And another part of me is like, no, chill out. Wait till we get to the plan section, because I have plans for today. So loved that piece. And I really want to get that done because Cheryl, Tiny Modernist, I think she just finished her zodiac. I mean, that is her zodiac. Let's just look let's just look at the Tiny Modernist stitch alongs, okay? Let me just take you there. It's been so long since I've spoken with you all. So this is the Tiny Modernist cross stitch, my friend Cheryl. She's wonderful and a beautiful designer. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the Zodiac Sal, right? It's $33, but this is a gigantic pattern. So well worth the $33. But Cheryl just finished this one. This was her 2024 year-long Sal. Tarot for Stitchers. So I've got to finish Zodiac so I can stitch the Tarot for Stitchers. This is all of the major arcana. And it's so clever and it's so beautifully done. I just love, I just love them. I love the Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, how they match. I love that the Hierophant is a woman. The Lovers are two flosses that go together. The Chariot's a spinning wheel. I don't hate Strength. Strength is my least favorite card in the entire major arcana. I don't hate it. I love that Temperance is T. She went with Rebirth instead of Death. That's so Cheryl. Justice is the Stork Scissor. The Tethered one instead of the Hanged Man. The Star, thank God there's not, and the Sun, thank God there's not a naked baby riding a horse. That's my least favorite thing. The Frog is is that the Tower? Stop. No, that's the Tower. The Tower is that and a seam ripper looming overhead. Look, it's just brilliant, and I'm here for it. I do have a piece of 40 count. Cheryl said this is her largest yet, so this is even bigger so this is 288 by 344, so this is like an order of magnitude bigger than the Zodiac Sal. So I have a piece of 40 count that this would fit on, but also... And she did all of that in 13 colors. Get out of town. I have a piece of 40 count that this would fit on, but also, let's be honest with ourselves. Do I need to put that on 25 count? I feel like this needs to be a giant wall hanging that goes behind me, just like Zodiac. So tell me in the comments when I stitch Tiny Modernist Tarot, which is my next Tiny Modernist, which is my next non-Patreon Tiny Modernist. Do I need to stitch it on 25 count, not the 40 count? I think I might. I'm just here to make bad decisions and cross stitch. All right, next whip this is Abra Lowney, 1825. She is one of my oldest whips. She was started in July, I think. Let me see. She was started in July of 2019, I believe. July 13th, 2019, I started Abra Lowney. And so for the last 14 days, I have been doing strand a day. Today is day 15. So before I started strand a day, I had all this over one stitching, the basket, and this flower. So in 2 weeks now for strand a day, not only have I done everything else that I've been showing you, but I've managed to stitch this whole cartouche. And I just have to put in, so today is probably my last day with this, and this is an absolutely uncalled for project. So none of the called for flosses, none of the called for colors, period, in this piece. So this is, I don't remember what this dark blue is that I stitched all this in, but that's one of my favorite gentle arts. It's like Mediterranean Sea or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's Mediterranean. I don't know what it is. But anyway, today will probably be the last day with that because the 11 here is in a different color. And then I just have to stitch 182 and then the 5 is in a different color. 182 and the period, and then I'll go in and start filling in this basket. It would be nice to finish this year also because it's the 200th anniversary of Abra stitching hers. So if I can finish this by, I don't know when Abra Lowney's birthday is actually, but the whip's birthday is July 13th. So if I can finish this by July 13th of 2025, then we'll say it's before the project turned 200 years old. So I'm just really having a good time. Strand a day is working. On the days that I don't stitch anything else, I do put a strand of strand a day in, and it actually has made me feel a lot better about what I am doing with my stitching because Rose had a track meet this week, and there was a bunch of stuff that we did this week that I got one strand in, but because that one strand met a goal on a project, I felt really good about my stitching. So that's kind of a good way to trick yourself into having one strand be enough, because one strand was enough. It was exactly what I needed to do on this project on that day. So it's perfect. Strand a day. I don't know where to put that. All right. Next up, I should have actually shown this one after I showed Moonlight, because this is my tail end project. So this is between Moonlight and Stitch for Pride. I got some stitches in on my tail end project. This is the 2025 Steady Thread Blackwork Sal. This is free. And what it is you get this border that is all of these stork scissors. So I have to complete the border. And then you get 52 little circles inside, and each week of 2025, you get a pattern in Blackwork. So these 3 circles here, 1, 2, 3, are this light blue is Stitch for Pride. And then the top of the circle, all of this circle, and all of this circle that's filled in, those are Moonlight. So this is not all caught up with where I am, because there's a couple more weeks that I haven't stitched. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is 11 weeks in to 2025, and I think we're either on this one or this one. I'm not sure. But if I get to a point where I catch up with the patterns inside the circles, then I pop back out to stitching the border and stitching the circles for the inside. And I kind of like that the circles themselves are stitched with a different floss than the inside of the circles. But I was thinking the other day that it would be fun to, like, when I get down to this circle, because it's not there yet, stitch the circle and then the inside with the same flosses from the same project. So I think this is so chaotic that it doesn't even matter. But I'm really loving it. And I'm really enjoying the black work. Like this circle here and this circle here, the way they're showing up, and parts of these cranes, the way these are showing up are making me want to stitch more complete blackwork projects, because they're just so beautiful. It also takes me back to my original idea for Trans Pride Unicorn by D's 20 Stitches. I would like to stitch the unicorn but fill them in with blackwork. I think that would be so cool. But I also am realizing this project is making me realize that, like, the really light colors are a little bit difficult to read in blackwork. The effect is not the same. Like, I can see it, and for certain patterns it looks good. Like this pattern looks good in light, but this circle does not look as good as that circle to my eye. But this is the kind of project to play with and experiment on, right? So, not mad about that. My second to last project that I've worked on this week is one that I worked on yesterday and today. This is taking up space from Nuri at Shaded Stitchery. I started this on June 19th, 2024. This was Nuri's release. She always does a release for Juneteenth. I finished her this Juneteenth Day sampler. I did not stitch the Freedom Motif sampler yet, which was the 2023 offering, and then this Taking Up Space is the 2024 offering. So I would love to finish this and then start Freedom Motif. But I am a little bit embarrassed to say that that was my one and only purchase in the last fortnight, because I lost my pattern. Between when I started this and now, I moved. And in my defense, I don't have any defense. It's gone. I can't find it. So I was like, I need to stitch on it. It came up for Stitching Monopoly. I passed go, and I needed to purchase a property in Stitching Monopoly. So that's 600 stitches. I had to repurchase the pattern. So I bought it again last night. I don't care. Nuri, take my money. Anyway, before I started last night, I had this. So this is all in the called for DMC, except would you believe I don't have DMC 3866? I don't have any. So I subbed in Almond M&M's Clouds for the white down at the bottom. This is a piece of Fox and Rabbit 36 count fabric of the month. This is Mabon. I'm hoping against hope that they put this into the full line because this is gorgeous. It kind of is like Aztec, which is one that they released for market, but it's less yellow. It's more like a neutral beigey plus the red purples. Anyway, so it's on 36 count Mabon. And before I started, I had the red and green triangles, and then I had about up to here with the blue and red. So since yesterday, I put in the rest of the blue and red here. I put in all of the 3371 and all of the cloud on that row, and then I did that. So I have 80 more stitches to go on this piece to make my next Monopoly move. And then I rolled doubles again. So this is so funny. Watch me. Hold on. I'm going to share this with you. So if you want to play Stitching Monopoly, it's hosted on my friend Steph Vintage Sew Gal's Discord server. I'll try to link it down below the video, but the Discord server links only last for a few days. So you might or might not get it. But so I rolled. So here we go. This is how we do it. We set up threads. So I rolled doubles, 1 plus 1, and I landed on Grace Note fabrics. So here's the board. 1 plus 1 took me from, I was on Witchelt, took me 1, 1. So if you pass go, you add 100 stitches to whatever you're stitching, and Grace Note Fabrics was available to buy, so that's 500 stitches to buy plus 100 for passing go. So 600 stitches on Grace Note Fabrics. That was my starting point on taking up space, and this is my ending point on taking up space. And then I rolled again because you got doubles. And I rolled, and then I rolled again, and I landed on Retreat Prep, which is, I rolled a 4 plus 5, so I landed on Retreat Prep, which is here. And the rule for Retreat Prep is you donate 50 stitches to the Retreat Stitchy stash, and then you go again. So then I went again, and I landed on Chance, and I rolled a double to land on Chance. So my Chance card is you unwound your DMC and knotted it, 100 stitches on a project with more than 10 colors in it, and 50 to the Retreat Fund. So perfect, because taking up space has more than 10 colors. So my starting point for this roll is my ending point for the last roll. So here I am on Chance. I landed on this Chance, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I landed on this Chance. So 80 more stitches on taking up space, and then I'll roll again. If any of that sounded not crazy to you and not overwhelming to you, then hop on Steph Vintage Sew Gal's Discord server, because I haven't touched this whip since June 19th of last year until I hit it at Monopoly. And there's no reason. I love this whip now. I don't want to stop. So I'm super glad I landed on a Chance and I could choose this again. So this is my plans for the rest of the day. Well, for 80 more stitches, this is my plans. And I think I'm going to just take it up this, right? Like taking up space. I think I'm just going to take it up this side border. I'm right here with the blue. I'm right here with the blue triangle, and I'm just going to take it up this side border. And I probably will only get maybe to that green one, because these are a little more than 20 each. So 20, 40, 60, 80, maybe up to the next blue. And then I'll roll again for Cross Stitch Monopoly. So this is on a Nerd Hoop, and this actually came out of a big haul that I'll show you a little bit of later that came from Megan, Books and the Moon. Megan sent me a bunch of stuff for charity, and I am using the Nerd Hoop, but I might or might not put it in a bundle for charity. I might keep it for myself, because selfish. Anyway, so that's all my whips that I worked. Oh, that's not all my whips. Another roll for Cross Stitch Monopoly was, when I landed on Witchelt, it was whip number 1 on the whip list. And whip number 1 on my whip list is, Contessa with Squid. Josephine's back, y'all. She's back. So, when I landed on Witchelt, someone else had already purchased it, so I had to pay rent, and rent is 200 stitches. So I finished up these 2 blocks. Woohoo! There are 365,000 stitches in this piece. I finished 200. And that's the first time I've touched it in ages. And actually, to be fair, these are in 10 by 10 blocks. I'm doing a stair step. That's more than 200 stitches because when I left off on the last page, I was feathering my edges and I under feathered them rather than over feathering them. Do you know what I mean? So this feathering adds more. It adds more to this block and it cuts into that block. So this is a little over 200 stitches that I put in on Josephine, and the bug is back. So this is Contessa with Squid by Omar Rayyan. Artwork is by Omar Rayyan. And it's a little dark. So you can see here, this tentacle here is this tentacle here. So the company that I purchased this from, just be aware if you're not already that their stitch pieces come out a little bit dark. But the light has more detail because the way that they run their program, they commit more color resource to the light gradients than to the dark gradients. So whereas someone who committed equal resources this top page might have been stitched in more than one color. For me, this top page was just 310 because they take more of the colors in the painting will read to the program as 310 than as B5200. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm saying it right. But anyway, you can get this many places now, but the original art is by Omar Rayyan. And if you don't know him, I'll link his Instagram below because his stuff is crazy. I love it. But I named her Josephine and I named him Humphrey. So the actual name of the piece is Contessa with Squid, but for me it's Josephine and Humphrey. And I got to get them out more because, I have my Squid Armada of needle minders here. This one is, if you're thinking that looks like Josephine and Humphrey, it's because that is from Meng at, I just lost the name of their company. They make needle minders out of clay. It's okay. I stopped buying from them because they were doing a lot of HP stuff, but I haven't checked back in a long time, which is probably good because I don't need to buy anything. But they were kind enough to make this. This was like years ago, 2019. This was pre-Panini, 2018 maybe even, because this whip is from 2018. Oh yeah, House of Meng. Meng is not their name. It's House of Meng. I asked for a needle minder that looked like her, and that's what they came up with. So like the artistry is there. But anyway, I'm happy to have Josephine out. I know she's a fan favorite. A lot of people are happy to see her. If you want to see her finished, go check out Ginkgo and Ginkgo, like the tree _ the tree, Ginkgo and Ginkgo on Instagram. She finished hers. She finished her Josephine. And she's incredible. So it kind of makes me want to hurry up and finish it. And I also understand that 365,000 stitches is a magnum opus for me. So that will be my life's work. And that was my last whip. Chee-hoo. All right, so we kind of talked about plans. My Monopoly plans, 100 more stitches on taking up space. Another thing that I would really like to do today is not even for me, it's for y'all. I would really like to get these Night Garden borders released. So Autumn Night Garden, X-Stitch the Rainbow, Threadworks palette Autumn Night Garden was a huge success at market. I can safely say that I have never sold more copies of a chart than I sold of my stargazing chart at market. So thank you all. And ginormous shout out to Abby Topknot, Nuri at Shaded Stitchery, Holly at Stitchy Pros, and Arlene Works by ABC for spearheading this effort, working with Threadworks, getting us all together, herding all the cats, right? Just wildly successful. And I did say months and months ago, I'm going to design a border. Maybe it was only a month ago. I don't know. I'm going to design a border for Night Garden. It's designed. It's just not up yet. So here's what it's going to look like. I have 2 versions actually. Or I have 3 versions, whatever. I have as many versions as you want to make this. This is the basic border. This is in my, I switched over to Wind Stitch for some of my stuff, but I'm not very comfortable with Wind Stitch, so that's my excuse as to why this border isn't up on my Patreon yet. But I'll load these borders. My goal is this weekend, we'll see how it goes, to load these borders into my Patreon and also into the Facebook page for X Stitch the Rainbow Stitch Along, because there's a stitch along, y'all. So this is a single flower border, is what I'm calling it. And if you're just going to stitch one and you want to put a cute little border on it, this one matches mine perfectly because I designed it. So that's option number one. When I was designing this border, what I really wanted to do was to be able to make a border that was what I was calling modular, so that you could stack them and you can stagger them. So my fabric allows for 12 X Stitch the Rainbow Night Garden pieces to be put on it. It's big enough for that. So this is my flower border, and I made it modular, and this is what I mean by staggering it. So if you just want to do a 4 square, you can do just a 4 square, right? And just stack them straight on top of each other. If you wanted to do something like this, I think this is visually more appealing. If you wanted to do something like this, whoop. I guess that doesn't work in that. If you wanted to do something more like this, I staggered my borders, right? So you can stack them like this, or you can stagger them. And this is kind of the idea, like you would put each of the night garden pieces on the inside, right? This specific version of the border right here is a thread eater. You're going to use a lot of floss for this border. So if you have a lot of pieces to stitch, I made a third border. This one is super simple. I don't even consider this as, quote, making a border. This is just drawing lines around pieces. So this is the third border. This is the version that I'll be using because I don't want my borders to eat up the floss. And I know what you're saying is like, Michelle, you said you could get 12 on your fabric, but there's only 11 boxes. That's true. That's because Amanda May has 2 versions of her night garden, and one of them is a 60 by 60 square. So they're all 60 by 60s. The other one of Amanda May's are 2, I think it's called topiary bunnies, and they're skinnier, but they're the same height. So I'm going to put one of each of the topiary bunnies here and here. So I'm kind of break out the borders. So this is the one that I'm going to use, and I'm really excited. You can see mine's already in there mocked up. I'm really excited about this, and I just need to get a couple more. My idea was to amass a bunch of these patterns either via purchase or trade at market. But since I didn't make it to market, I'm going to have to hit up Abby Topknot whenever I need a new one. But with 12 of these, if I stitch one a month, if mine counts for March, actually mine should count for January, but they weren't released until March. It's whatever. Holly said she would send me hers in the mail, so Holly and I are going to trade them. If any X Stitch the Rainbow Night Garden designers out there are watching this potentially and want to trade, hi, I'll trade with you. I have it in the PDF version too. I can't release the PDF yet, or I can do whatever I want. I won't release the PDF yet, but soon I'll have the PDFs of all of my market releases, except my collaboration with Holly, in my Etsy shop and my website. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, so this is my plan. I'm going to do this one because they're really simple. They fit together nicely and they contain everything. And if I can stitch all of these borders, then I can just fill them in. It's like a coloring book, right? So that's my other plan, is to get, not to get that stitched, but to get that PDF'd and put up on both my Patreon, not behind the paywall, free for the public, and also on the X Stitch the Rainbow Night Garden Facebook page, which I will link down below. So that's the plans. And then I wanted to draw your attention to, so part of the reason that I wanted to go to fortnightly Flosstubes is so that I would have more time to watch Flosstube, because I haven't watched very much Flosstube at all. And in the last 2 weeks, I have been able to watch 2 new Flosstubers, which I know is not a terribly large amount, but they were both really interesting. So I want to talk about them a little bit. The first one, his name is Colin. He's called Stitchpocalypse, and he had me, I think I subscribed like 1 minute and 40 seconds into the first video. This was his first Flosstube number 1. I started Flosstube number 2, and I haven't started number 3 yet. He only has 3, so it should be easy to catch up. He is so interesting. He is a very cerebral stitcher. He does a lot of like experimentation and kind of analysis of his stitching. He's just really interesting. I dig his philosophy, and I was really, really interested in hearing all of the things he had to say. Like, his projects are cool. And also, he is super interesting to listen to. Like, I found myself just kind of wanting to hear more about his thoughts and ramblings. So, super, super drawn in by him. And then the other person that I watched, he just has one, is Jason Cross Stitches. He is Jason X Stitches on Instagram. And you can see right here, he's showing pigeon coop designs on his cover photo. His first video is a whip parade, which I think is a great place to start. Obviously, it sets the table, as it were. And he said something really interesting, and I meant to ask him about this, but I didn't, you got to kind of gently slide into people's DMs. So I gently slid into his DMs, and I'll work myself up to the question that I was going to ask him. But he said that he made his video, on the day that he made his video, he said, every year on this day, I do something brave. And that was, making a video is brave. And I do want to acknowledge that making a video is brave. Also really love that, Cam and Bridgen made a video from Market, and they literally said, it looks hard to sit here and talk to a camera, but it's easier to sit here and talk to a camera. This is not what they literally said. I'm not quoting them. I'm paraphrasing them. But they did say and acknowledge that it looks hard to sit here and talk to a camera, and it's not easy, but this is a hell of a lot easier than talking to a person. And I felt that so hard, like into my bones. I felt that. So, anyway, Jason's super fun. He has beautiful projects, and he has a tail end project, which I love. I love a tail end project. And he's stitching a Barbara Anna, which you also know I love. So just a lot of really goodness. And he said something like, if I could only stitch one designer for the rest of my life, it would be Jacob at Modern Folk Embroidery. And I get it. I get it. So I'll link Jason and Colin down below if y'all want to go check them out. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with them both, and well worth the watch. So 10 out of 10 would recommend both of them. Oh my gosh, purchases and haul. So I already told you about my purchase. It was a bit of a snafu. So my net spending since I got back from the cruise on cross stitch is $12. Not bad. I think that's right. Yeah, because I bought the Dino box from Deanna before the cruise. That's my net spending since the cruise, $12, and that was an accident, but it's fine. I do have some haul, so let me show you what my friend Gwen sent me. And the first thing she sent me is for a very specific project. It is for this design. So this was my Patreon design for February, and it was in light of all of the conversation surrounding safe space signs in cross-stitch businesses. There was a lot of conversation around that and why it was or was not appropriate to post safe space signs for your cross-stitch business. This is actually a Bible verse, part of it, and Abby Topknot found a shirt that said this, and I Quakered it because it feels good. This feels like a good idea. Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly. And then my friend Gwen, I messaged her, Gwen at Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, and I said, how do you think that would look on strawberry frappe with dark chocolate silk? And Gwen was like, amazing. So she sent me strawberry frappe. This is a 32 count linen, and this is dark chocolate silk. And she is so right, because the highlights in this silk tend towards pink. So you can't really see it, but there's some highlights down here in the bottom of the silk, some variegation, and they look like this color pink. So I can't wait. I'm going to model stitch this myself. It's going to be released full release sometime. I can't wait. And then Gwen is also working on a Zodiac collection, a Zodiac / tarot collection of fabric. And some of these colors might scare us a little, but in the best possible way. So let's go through them. She sent me just a fat, I think these are fat 8. I don't know how much these are actually, but these are all 16 count Ada or 16 count Aida, depending on how you like to say it. These are 13 by 17s, and these are all the Zodiac / Tarot collection. So this is the first one. This is called Twilight Prophecy. And you can see it's this deep, deep purple with some washed out spots. And if I fold it, you can see it better. It has these gold specks running through it. And it's not like a sparkly, like those iridescent fibers that go through fabrics. This is actually a paint. This is a painted fabric. But I love that. I'm going to design on it. I have purple moments. Like one of my favorite projects I've ever stitched was one of Barbara Anna's Dreaming Girls. And I have to show you this. If you haven't seen this, if you haven't been here for long enough to have seen this, I think it was a 2021 finish. This is Dreaming Girl from Barbara Anna. And this is one of my favorite projects that I've ever done on purple. And this is also a Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers purple, but it's a little bit more plummy. But I took Barbara Anna's Dreaming Girl and I made it to an MMIW piece. So this is one of my favorite finishes I've ever finished, hands down. And I made it like I changed the boats to canoes, and I changed the high rises to Kalapuya longhouses because I live on unceded Kalapuya land. So this was one of my favorite finishes. So this is really like one of the things that started my purple moment. So I'm going to continue it on Twilight Prophecy. I always love a purple. This is another one, Tarot and Zodiac collection. This is called The Seer's Vision. It's like a deep, beautiful, oh yeah, look at that. I like when my camera makes an adjustment because that's really true. This is a nice, nice ocean blue. And again, it has those same painted speckles. Okay. This is another one from that collection. It's called Siren's Veil. This is a little bit of a lighter turquoisey bluish purple. It's a turquoise blue, but there's definitely like shadows of purple, I guess is how I would say it. And the way that see those gold speckles on the front? You see them here? The way that you know that that's painted and not woven in is there's none on the other side. So there is actually a right and wrong side of this fabric. Some fabrics have a right and wrong side, which I learned with my X2 design fabric. It's fine. This one is another one, Tarot and Zodiac collection. This is called The Verdant Throne. I love a green that has turquoise blue running through it. And there's a little bit of like bronzy over here. I don't know what, again, like I don't know what I'm going to put on these, but I've got to design something on these. Maybe I need to do a Zodiac collection. I don't know. I'm a little bit, because I'm stitching on Cheryl's Zodiac collection, I will not, because I'm stitching on Cheryl's, I will not design one of my own right now because I'm too inspired by Cheryl's, right? Like you can't. And then this is the last one she sent me. I love this one. And I think this is Gwen's favorite. This is called The Crimson Omen. And this one's reading maybe a little bit more orange than it is IRL, but not a whole lot. This is a very like orangey, fiery red. Like, this is a lot of color for me. I'm not so sure about the red one. It makes me uncomfortable, but that's why I think I should probably lean in to that orange one. So beautiful, excellent, fabulous, amazing 12 out of 10 fabric haul from Gwen at Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. I can't wait. I can't wait to stitch on them. I love her stuff. I love her as a person. Okay. And then last but not least for the cross stitch haul, this is part of what came from Megan, who is Books and the Moon. And I won't send you, like, this is the card she sent. This is from www.oplusd.com. It's Instagram at Offensive Delightful. And she sent a bunch of patches and stickers. This one I love. No math, all vibes. Resist and Rebel. Big sticker of that. Your pronouns sound good on you card. Bye Bye Binders. These are all, this is from Little Rainbow Paper Co. This is designed and printed in Canada. And then she sent me the Salty Bird sticker book. Have you seen the memes on Instagram of these salty burbs? If you haven't, you should go check them out. These are funny. They're a little too sweary for the YouTube. But so what Megan sent is a whole Priority Mail flat rate box full of patterns and fabric. And full disclosure, when I get a huge shipment like that for charity, I do take a tax. So I took a little tax for me. This is Mouse's Halloween from Tiny Modernist. I had to. It's Halloween. It's Cheryl. It's little. I had to. I'm going to try to stitch this quickly because I love it. And then Sassafras Samplers, which is the design house of Kim, is the owner of an LNS on the East Coast. Help me out. It's a huge LNS, you all. They just renovated a house. Sassy Jacks. Okay, Sassy Jacks. Thank you. Kim is the owner of Sassy Jacks, and their design house is called Sassafras Samplers. They have a spooky Shakespeare series. You know I had to. These are in nothing that I stitch with, so I'll be doing full conversions, totally uncalled for. But this one is called Adder's Fork. It says Adder's Fork and Blindworm's sting, lizard's leg, and howlet's wing. And I'm sorry, it's a worm. You just don't have enough worms on samplers. You just don't. That's part of my tax. The other part of my tax is called Fillet of a Fenny Snake. Fillet of a fenny snake in the cauldron, boil and bake. Also, not enough snakes on samplers. And look at how this snake weaves through the border. That's just well done. Just well done. And I'm not going to say fillet because it's fillet, because it's Shakespeare. So yeah, I'll use, this will be totally uncalled for in all ways. And then there's also, interestingly, I didn't know this, it probably isn't enough to make me collect them all on purpose, but like on the back you get, I think this is we pulled the borders for the pieces for the rest. There's a bonus mystery sampler. There's 4 pieces total, so I have half of it. So I think this is part 1 and part 3. So there's 2 more pieces. Do I need to collect the other 2? No, not until I stitch these, which who knows when that'll be, but that's part of my tax. Don't worry, there is a ton left for you all. Not to worry. And that, my friends, is all of the stitching. That's all the stitching. So all we have left are books and tarot. So if you hung out this long, thank you so much. I hope you like the new Fortnight cadence. I do. And I will see you then in 2 weeks. What's 2 weeks from now? I won't see you again till April. I'm going to have to stop being surprised about that. So the plan is that I will see you maybe April 12th? No, that's not right. The plan is that I'll see you April 5th. Yeah, should be April 5th. So if you're going to hang out for the books and tarot, hang out for the books and tarot. If you're not, I'll see you April 5th. I hope you have the best fortnight available to you. I love my friend Jessie. And yeah, do lots of stitching. Make it a part-time job. Don't make it a job. I'll see you later. Bye. That was quick. Literally, I went, whoosh, switched hands and went, whoosh. It's okay. That's how I know to cut my video. It's fine. Anyway, I have been drawing lately from my tarot deck. This is my trading deck. So this is based on the Prisma Visions Tarot from James R. Eads. And this is the very first deck that was ever... This is my first grown-up deck that I ever had. My friend Holly, Stitchy Pros, gifted this to me at Market a couple years ago. And I changed it into my trading deck. I've now started putting stickers on it because why wouldn't I, honestly, put stickers on it? So this deck is really fun, and I have a bunch of cards in here from a bunch of friends Today I drew the Three of Pentacles. This card is from the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Ann, and the card itself was had in a trade with my friend Vanessa. So I sent Vanessa the Knight of Swords, and she sent me the Three of Pentacles. And what I've done is I've made my own little black book. So every time I get a card from a friend, I put a picture of the card in the book, and then the information on the trade, and then what the book said, and then a little bit about the person that sent it to me. So this is all about, because the pentacles are trade and tangible things, material goods, sometimes money. And this is all about, the three is very early in the journey. So this is all about undertaking a new project, or like learning a new thing, or leaning into a new like creative endeavor. And it's going well, right? Like you're leaning into a new creative endeavor. It's going well. The book says, for the artisan or entrepreneur, this card is a prediction of success. If you have worked hard to build up a small business from scratch or discovered a new creative path, you will enjoy a great sense of achievement in your chosen discipline. And you may be financially motivated as well. So that's a really good card for me today, because this is a really good card for me in general lately, because I feel like I'm moving in a new direction with the business and I'm really, really liking it. So this is a great reinforcement card. Also, you can see that the card deck itself, like this one came from a smaller deck than my deck. So this is actually the card that Vanessa sent me, and I glued her card that she sent to the card that she sent me, cut out in the size of, because not all tarot cards are the same size, right? So I cut that card out in the size, this is the Prisma Visions cards. I cut it out in about the size of the Prisma Visions card, and I just made it. So this deck is ridiculously kapakahi, and it's perfect. I actually got the idea for this deck by talking to someone at a tattoo convention, the Evergreen Tattoo Convention, in Eugene, Oregon. And she said she had this vision, and she had supported this Kickstarter. Well, maybe she had supported a Kickstarter. So she supported this Kickstarter that had this vision of like, what if we all had our tarot decks with us all the time? And if you ran into another tarot person and you liked their energy, you all would pull a card for each other. So now my deck literally looks like this. Like it used to all look like this. It used to all look like this. And now it literally looks like this with all the cards from all my friends. Like there's still a bunch of my own cards in here, but there's so many cards from friends, and I tend to lean on this deck when I'm feeling not like lonely, but when I'm feeling like I need a little extra positivity out of my deck. I lean on this one. So that's my card, Three of Pentacles. Thanks, Vanessa. And then I finished a book. I think this is the only book that I finished. It's called You're Not Listening, What You're Missing and Why It Matters. It's by Kate Murphy. Really good book. Really good book. I don't know if I talked about it last time. Probably my Flosstube planner would tell me, but definitely worth the listen, and very interesting to listen to a book on audiobook that's about listening and using your listening skills. Because occasionally I would catch my mind drifting as I was listening to this book, and I would have to reorient myself and be like, Michelle, you're listening to a book about listening. You gotta listen. But I have noticed actually, and I didn't obviously memorize the book, but it was a really good kind of primer on not just why it's nice to be a good listener and like what the speaker gets from you as a good listener, but also like what you can get out of being a good listener. And it was also like very practical. Like these are the things that good listeners tend to do, and these are the things that bad listeners tend to do. And so I thought it was great. And I've actually noticed myself, I've caught myself a few times being a bad listener in a conversation. And one really interesting thing that stuck with me is she interviewed a lot of really good listeners, right? So like some of the people were professors and like psychologists. And then she also interviewed like CIA operatives and interrogators, negotiators. And one of the like head governmental negotiators, retired now, that she interviewed, he said one of the things that he liked to do in his life was go to, like when he was traveling, go to a hotel bar, sit in the hotel bar, have a conversation with someone, and leave knowing as much about them as possible with them not knowing anything about you. And before you say this sounds bad, yeah, he was obviously doing that to keep his skills sharp for his job, right? He needed to learn more about people than he gave to them. But I think for a normal person, I'm not a CIA interrogator. I know you can't believe that. I think for a normal person, what to take up from that is, one thing he said was, I already know pretty much everything there is to know about myself. So I don't need to hear myself talk about me in every conversation. I don't know everything there is to know about the person I'm talking with. So to try to make someone feel as if you're there specifically to hear about them it's a good feeling. I mean, we all like to feel that way, right? So that's what I've been thinking about now. That's one of the big things I took from the book, and it's one thing that I think about when I'm in a conversation with someone is like, how much am I learning about them versus how much am I giving them of me? Because I say I a lot. I do. I just say I a lot. And it's really helped me kind of refocus in conversations on the person that I'm speaking to rather than moi. So it was a good book. I would recommend it. And now what am I listening to now? I think I'm between books now. I actually just started reading on my phone a book for Rose's. My daughter does OBOB, Oregon Battle of the Books. And one of the books on the reading list this year is Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan. And I'm 13% in. Pretty interesting so far. Really good book. It's about a child who is obviously neurodivergent, ridiculously intelligent, and has just gone through a tragedy in her life. She's young, and she's so smart that she's ostracized smart. And now she's had kind of the rug pulled out from under her. So that's where I am in the book. But it was a lot of people's favorite OBOB book this year. So Oregon Battle of the Books, I'm going to start working through some of those books. Rose is done now. Her team made it to the regionals and lost in the second round. But they did make it to bracket play out of pool play. So that was good. Farther than we've ever made it. We've never even made it to regionals before as a team. So her team did great. But that was what we did yesterday. So that was why I didn't fill my Flosstube yesterday. And it was well worth it. It was great to watch the kids do their thing. So, that's all I've got, y'all. That's it. That's plenty. Oh my God, I've been talking for an hour. Okay, so I will see you when I see you, which will probably be in a fortnight. And until I see you, keep stitching. Sign up for Stitching Monopoly. It's so much fun. And if you're coming to Stitch North and you have a tarot deck or you're thinking you might want to bring a trading deck, bring a trading deck. I will trade a card with you. Even if we've never met, I will trade a card with you. I'm so excited about this deck, and I just love like meeting people through it and having a memory of them and them having a memory of me through the trading deck. So thank you so much for hanging out. I will see you when I see you.